This is the Great Legend, and I am coming at you live from Dark Avenger Inc. Plus with an in-depth review of Classic Popeye number 6 from IDW Publishing. Now, IDW Publishing, they publish 2 Popeye titles a month. One is their regular Popeye, which you can see some awesome Popeye reviews from Craig of Dark Avenger Inc. on that channel. And I've got the Classic Popeye review for this month, Classic Popeye issue 6. Just a great, great comic. This is actually my 3rd time to review it, because the camera keeps screwing up. And this comic was 30 to 40 minutes long in reading. So I'm freaking crazy right now. God dang it. Okay, so this is Classic Popeye, issue 6 by IDW for the 3rd time. 3rd time's a charm. First time sounded like a chipmunk, which is just some bug in this stupid software. 2nd time I forgot to hit the record button. And 3rd time we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it right. Okay. First off, let me say this comic is $3.99, but you get what you pay for. It's very thick. It's classic. It's Popeye. This issue number 6 actually reprints issue number 6 from April-May 1949 by Bud Sagendorf. Bud Sagendorf was the 2nd guy to do Popeye as far as you know, on paper. We had E.C. Seeger, of course, the man that created Popeye for Thimble Theater, the newspaper strips, funnies, you know, the comic funnies from there, by King Syndicate Features. And of course, another thing we remember was King Syndicate had Fleischer Studios do the famous Popeye cartoons, the very first Popeye cartoons. And then in well, actually shortly thereafter, Bud Sagendorf started doing Popeye after E. Seeger died. So Bud Sagendorf did Popeye all the way up even into the 80s, 1980s. But this is Classic Popeye number 6. That's just a little background of Popeye for some of you Dark Avenger Inc. Plus members that don't, you know, may have not known some about that. Check out the cover. The cover's really cool. It's got sharks here. It's got Popeye holding up the raft. Sweepy, you can kind of see he's got a little hobo bag there. This was a really fun comic. I mean, these Popeye comics are long, but they're really good. The artwork, this is throwback artwork. It's the exact artwork. Of course, it's Bud Sagendorf from that original issue 6 comic, Popeye comic. Story starts out with Sweepy and his buddy Hink, and they're playing pirate, you know, treasure, you know, fun things like that, you know, pretending like little kids do. He goes in the house and he asks Popeye for a treasure map. So Popeye gives him a treasure map. Sweepy goes back outside, and you actually find out that Sweepy and Hink, they built like their very own life-size raft, because this treasure map that Popeye gave them, they want to find the treasure. I mean, if you get a treasure map from one of the best sailors that has ever been Popeye, you want to go find some treasure. So they get on the raft and they sail the 7 seas. So later that night, Popeye hears a knock on the door. A real hacked-off gentleman just comes straight in the door, punches Popeye across the face, says, "Look at this! Look at this! Look what you've done!" Popeye reads this note, and it's from Hink. That was Hink's dad. The note says, "Hey, Dad, me and Sweepy, we got this treasure map from Popeye. We're going away for 6 months on a tour, on an adventure to find this treasure." So he's hacked off. Popeye's like, "Oh, they can't get far. They don't have no boat. What are you thinking?" And anyways, about a minute later, Popeye gets a call from the guy at the lighthouse guard. Lighthouse guard says, "Popeye, we got bad news. We see drifting off in the ocean. It's your son Sweepy and his friend Hink. We don't know what they're doing, but they're out in the ocean, and it's getting to be dark." This is so funny. So Popeye and them, they get on their boat and they get their stuff ready for an expedition to find these 2 kids. Anyways, Sweepy and Hink, they fall asleep on their raft. A boat comes up beside them, first mate, his name's Ben, he looks over, he says, Captain, Captain, we have a boat, looks like there's deserted, no one on it. But he gets, Ben, the first mate, gets on the boat, and he sees that there's 2 kids on the boat, but he doesn't tell his captain, Captain Zato, who's an evil looking guy with a long mustache, just looks bad, he's wearing kind of black outfit. He doesn't let them know they're kids, so Zato just thinks they're going to be like sailors or something. And Zato had him search the raft, didn't find treasure or anything, but he said, well, bring them aboard, we'll let them be captives, and we can use them as crew to help paint our boat and swab the deck or whatnot. So Captain Zato goes to the cabin, sees the kids are sleeping, but he finds the treasure map. He says, oh, this is a treasure map. But he comes out kind of alarmed, and Ben's like, wait, what's wrong? What's wrong? He says, you got kids on the boat. Ben's like, so? Who cares? They're kids. We'll kidnap them. Whatever. I love it. Classic stuff here. And Zato's like, well, one of those kids is Popeye's kids. And Popeye, we've got a beef. You know, he's one of my enemies. So, oh no. So they come up with a plan. Says, well, we'll just say the treasure map is ours, and they're thieves. So they wake them up, say, you're thieves, you stole our treasure map. They're like, huh? What? Where are we? He says, no, we got that map from Popeye. You don't understand, we got that map from Popeye. He says, no, you're thieves. And you know what I hate more than a thief is a thief that steals from another thief. So that was so funny. So Captain Zato says, we're going to put this Popeye in jail. You'll never see him again. And they're like, no, please don't do it. We'll do anything you want. So Zato says, okay, agreed. So they make him do all these chores on the raft while they sail for the treasure. They have to paint. It's crazy. They have to paint, swab the deck, do everything. So they got to do chores while they drift off to find the treasure. Now, meanwhile, Popeye, Olive Oil, and Hink's dad, they get their own boat and they come along the raft. They find the raft. They get off and says, oh my God, our boys aren't here. Sweepy's not here. What have I done? What have I done? Popeye's kind of crying. It must have been the sharks that got him. Must have been the sharks that got him. So Hink's dad's real mad, says, you're guilty. You deserve this. I can't believe this happened. Blah, 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 blah. So Popeye goes back home, turns himself into the judge, asks to be hanged, but he's not going to get hanged because the judge says, well, we can't do this for involuntary manslaughter. You're just going to be thrown in jail forever. So he goes to jail, and it really never shows what happens to Hink's dad. I guess Hink's dad's just happy with the verdict, and he goes back home, and Olive Oil goes back home. Okay, back to the Captain Zato's boat. They finally get to the island, and they're on their way out to the treasure. They're, following the map or whatnot. Sweet Pea and Hink, they start kind of realizing, if this is his treasure map, he ought to know where the treasure is. It's like, yeah, that's right. So they decide to kind of drift back. They've already seen the map, so they know what tree it's by. So they run all the way back to the boat. They get paints, and they get signs, and they make all these funny signs saying, this way to the treasure, this way to the treasure. So they go and hide. And Zato and Ben, they get to the place, and so they do the digging for Sweet Pea and Hink. And so they get the treasure out, and meanwhile the boys are in this tree up above, a palm tree, and they're looking down right where the treasure is. So both of the Ben and Zato put their head in there, and they're looking in the treasure. Ooh, nice treasure. And then all of a sudden Sweet Pea drops down on the top of the chest, and bam, their heads get all jacked up in the treasure chest, and they get kind of knocked out. So they get tied up, and when they come to, Zato's like, oh, I'm so sorry, we've seen our ways, please untie me and we'll take you back home and you can have the treasure. And Sweet Pea, being a good kiddo, he believes him, so he unties him, and then he says, see, that wasn't so hard. He looks over at Hink, and then Zato takes this shovel, lifts it way up, and just slams it into the back of Sweet Pea. And Sweet Pea's like down. Oh my God. And all of a sudden Sweet Pea gets back up and punches Zato in the face, almost, like knock his freaking block off. And then Zato from then on out knows Sweet Pea is a force to be reckoned with, so he agrees to take Sweet Pea home. So Ben and of course Zato, they carry the treasure, and Sweet Pea and Hink are just kind of on top. Yay, yay. And they go by the jail because they're going to throw Zato and Ben in jail because they don't want no part of Sweet Pea. He's a bad little boy. So they take him there. Popeye sees, hey, you're safe, I'm so happy. So he just punches a wall in the jailhouse. He's out of jail now, and he makes sure he throws the bad guys in jail. Then they go back home, and then like later in the story, last page, it says, so he's talking. Popeye's talking to Hink's dad. What do you think about the boys? I'm going treasure hunting now, and it shows the dad of Hink, and he's just like bathing in the treasure. Oh, I love it. And that's the end of the first story. That story was primarily 75% of the book. Long story, but really kind of funny story. The middle story is about Poop Deck Pappy. Has all just text pretty much. There's just a couple pictures. I'm not going to get much into that story, but it was pretty fun. It was okay, just a lot more reading. The last story, the backup story, was really good. It was about 6 pages long. It was a J.W. Wimpy story, J. Wellington Wimpy, and it's called Food. He gets thrown off a train, of course. Why? For being a cheap ass with no ticket. So he gets off the train, and he's looking for food everywhere, because Wimpy, he's always hungry, right? He's looking for food everywhere, and this villainous guy sees him. His name's Terrible something or other. I don't know, some guy named Terrible, and he's a guy that robbed a bank, and he doesn't want no part of Wimpy because he thinks Wimpy's got that desert fever, where when you're out in the desert and you're just talking crazy to yourself. So he says, I'm leaving this guy. So he goes off, and he thinks Wimpy doesn't see him, but Wimpy smells the ham sandwich he has. So Wimpy says, I want that ham sandwich. He's like, no, you don't understand. I'm wanted, and I'm wanted. I've robbed banks. And he puts a gun up to Wimpy. He says, I'll fight you for this sandwich, but first put the sandwich on that rock over there. So Wimpy grabs this like little rock, and while he puts this terrible cowboy guy puts the sandwich on the rock, Wimpy comes up behind his head and smacks him on the back of the head with this rock. So he's out, the bad guy, and then Wimpy's just eating that sandwich. The sheriff rides up and it's like, oh my God, you caught the terrible, whatever his name is, Terrible. I don't remember what his name was. It doesn't really matter. It's just some random villain. And then he says, you caught this guy. What do you think's more? Aren't you proud of yourself that you caught this bad guy? And Wimpy says, I don't know if I'm more proud of catching the bad guy or this yummy sandwich. He's like eating the sandwich. So overall, this book, I give it a 3 out of 5. It was just a good solid 3. I liked the book a lot. It was a funny book. It's what I expect from Classic Popeye from the old 1949. So I thought it was really cool. IDW does a great job. These are just full-blown reprints of the comic. The last page, it has or on the back cover, it has what's coming out in the months to come or whatever. So pretty much the whole book is like the original from 1949. So I just really liked this book. I thought it was really good. 3 out of 5. So pick up Popeye, Classic Popeye or regular Popeye by IDW. They're really good books. Let me know what you thought about this in-depth review. I've done 2 in-depth reviews now. I don't really show any of the inside artwork. I prefer to be me and you and the comic cover itself. So let me know if you want to see artwork in the book, or if you just want me to talk to you and tell you about the book. This is a good in-depth review. I feel like I can get my reviews done a little quicker if I do it this way instead of showing you like pages of the book. So yeah, let me know. Rate, comment, subscribe. I'll be glad you did. This is the Great Legend coming at you live from Dark Avenger Inc. Plus, saying peace out. God bless.